Lucy, can you tell me a little bit about the process in your painting?
Okay. Pretty much I start off with just paint, like whatever I decide. Usually it leans towards a darker tone, and I don't just plan out what I'm doing right away, but usually I start to find some kind of imagery, and depends on what's going on in my life, whether or not it's good or bad, but sometimes things end up going in a more organic direction, sometimes things go more in a linear drawing direction that's based on the brushes I'm using, based on what I'm thinking at the moment about my kids, what I'm thinking about that day.
What is the source of your imagery? Can you tell me,
It's not actually like directly related to a thing or anything obvious. It's very abstract, but it's also just based on what I like to see, and the composition and the colors and how I feel about how it's coming along. Like if I'm thinking about this painting in particular, this has been edited and redone so many times. I mean, there was an entire painting under this at one point. It's an entirely different painting, and you can see that it's come through. There's parts of it that were there a long time ago. And I take these outside and I get rid of stuff and I sand them down, and I enjoy that part of kind of beating them up and getting rid of stuff. There's a whole painting underneath here, and this looks pretty bad. And but it's going to be exciting when I sand it, because then I'll see what was there, and it will start to become something else. And I was working on it for a couple days, and I just gave up on it because it just wasn't working the way I wanted it to work. And I was like, but I don't really get discouraged, because I think, well, that's fine. It's got something that I want there. I've put all this down and it has something, and it's not a bad thing to cover it up and then let it dry. It's still about that I enjoyed painting it. It did something for me. It still worked, and I don't ever think of it as wasting my time or paint or anything, because the build-up becomes part of the painting.
Yeah, tell me about the titles. The titles are very interesting. Sometimes they're quite long, and they've always, to me, sounded like they come out of your kids' mouths, and you were confirming it there.
Yeah. So it depends on the titles. Like, some of them have been things my children have said. Some of them are things I would like to say to my children. Some of them are things that I'd like to say to other grown-ups in my life. Some of them are things that I'd like to write down in a diary, but I don't want to keep a diary. I grew up with 3 brothers, and I never had a lot of privacy, and I felt very I never really wanted to write anything down, so it was a continuous cycle of that. I never wrote anything down in college. I always had male roommates. I always had roommates, and I just never really wanted to write anything down. And I started writing in grad school, and I had to keep a journal, and I think I have about 8 journals from grad school where I finally started writing stuff down, and it felt pretty good. These titles are kind of my way of keeping a diary, along with the paintings, which are like a visual diary. And it's like my own private way of writing something that is short, simple, and it can be read by the public, but it's also something I know. Oh, I know where I was at that moment when I did that painting. Oh, okay. Or my daughter said that and I wanted to write it down. Or my son, this is about my son, and like the other day, my son was looking at a painting with me, and he really liked it, and he was talking about it with me, and so I named the painting kind of because of him, and it's called The Dead Trees and a Solid Night. And his biggest thing is he doesn't like to have dreams at night or nightmares. He hates having bad dreams, which we all do. But he also doesn't even want to have a good dream. He doesn't want to have any dreams. He just wants to go to sleep never wake up in the middle of the night, just wake up in the morning. He doesn't really like nighttime. And he's also really obsessed with dead trees. So I kind of gave him the title because he took the time to look at that painting with me, and I didn't even ask him to. Like, he just decided to. And it was kind of sweet and a nice moment, and I was like really surprised by it. So I kind of wanted to give him the title.
Okay, Lucy, so the final question is, we would like to see what you have hanging on your refrigerator.
I make these calendars so that we can keep track of the days here in this house. And I don't buy a calendar really, and I just have always done this with the kids, and so they always know what's going on, because my daughter really has to know what's going on. And you know, we cross off the day, and they know what camp is coming up. And we haven't gotten to the summer yet, but next week they're going to spring break camp, and then basically everything, they know what's going on. And then this is a recent thing that Gianna brought home that I just absolutely love. And she gave this to me for my birthday. And so she, I think she traced that. That's okay though. She did tell me. And but this she drew freehand. I'm kind of proud of that one. She kind of did that one. And so we have all kinds of phone numbers and the doctors. You know, I'm pretty good about keeping up with all that. And then the family portrait from her. And very important. Get that out. Magnet. Nico's bowling scores from. This was his high score, 94 at Bowell's Bowling. So that's pretty exciting.